We have new polling in terms of President Trump's approval rating, and it is terrible news for him and the Republican Party at large. And we're going to start with this chart from The Economist. And it has the president's net approval rating at 18 points underwater, with 39% approving and 58% disapproving. Now, you can also see from this chart, he's actually outperforming or underperforming, depending how you want to look at it. But he's doing worse in his approval rating than he did in his first term at this time. And also, he is performing worse than Biden did at this point as well 4 years ago. And national polling, guys, shows similar trends across the board. This is by no means an outlier poll. So I'm going to give you more information. Here is from Gallup, guys. And this was a poll to determine the satisfaction in terms of the direction the country was coming, or is going, excuse me. And this was an alarming trend, as just 29% of Americans are satisfied with the nation's direction. And currently, guys, that is bad for Republicans because the nation is under Republican control in the House, in the Senate, and obviously in the White House. And they are enacting even more power through the executive branch than often the laws allow. And 67% are dissatisfied, which is historic lows for Gallup polling in terms of satisfaction. Now, if you are wondering why there have been historic nationwide protests or why the Democrats recently won and swept up the election, you can point to this failed administration, which has been basically a year of chaos and basically destruction and eroding of the values that most Americans hold dear. And not to mention the emblematic imagery of his physical destruction of the White House, to, by the way, a building largely built on the back of enslaved people, to build his luxury ballroom while at the same time starving Americans, cutting cancer research. It's just a toxic stew that does not look good for this administration and Republican Party at large. And you have the whole issue, guys, of affordability right now, which in a hyper-capitalistic system like we have in the United States, where unfortunately we do not provide the safety nets that a lot of other countries provide through like paid parental leave if you want to start a family, more affordable housing, different things like that. Affordability drives most voting. And right now, prices are out of control. And you can see this funny graphic here from Fox News, the propagandist machine that is part of the reason why Trump is in office. Prices are up on utilities, coffees, electricities, vehicle repair. One of the only things, guys, that prices are down of is like eggs, but that can largely be contributed to bird flu, which spiked the cost of eggs. But largely everything is up across the board. If you guys go grocery shopping, I don't need to tell you that. Just look, and you guys know that to be true. And while all this is happening, Trump is out there lying and saying affordability is not an issue and he doesn't want to handle it. And then he points to Walmart's like Thanksgiving dinner as a reliable data point to say why prices are going down while misconstruing the actual facts, even within that Walmart Thanksgiving dinner. So just lies and misinformation. But the problem is, guys, is when people are actually going to the grocery store and feeling it, he can't lie his way out of things as easily. You can lie your way to like people being concerned about like trans rights because it doesn't actually impact them, so they can be fear-mongered about that. Same a lot of times with immigration to a certain degree. But guys, affordability touches everybody. And that is largely why his approval rating is in the tank. You also have the government shutdown and unpaid labor and people getting fired en masse from the government. There is also furloughed workers, guys, right now who are even unsure if they're going to get paid when they return to work, despite the legal concerns with that. So America is rightly right now also with the shutdown putting things at the Republicans' feet because they hold the Senate, House, and White House, as I mentioned previously. And what they want to do basically is they want to starve Americans in order to get government to reopen so that they can increase healthcare premiums. Okay. You guys have seen, I'm sure, on social media, if you not media, I will put up something right now that can show you guys what the Republicans are trying to do to our already outrageous healthcare system, which is to increase premiums by an extreme amount, like you guys can see an example on the screen right now. So that is why the Democrats are fighting right now to avoid people's health insurance getting spiked through the roof. Now, as many of you probably listening right now are probably pretty frustrated. It's like, yeah, this stuff was obvious. I will admit this stuff was predictable, but I didn't even think things would devolve this quickly. But guys, what he is doing right now, so if you were a voter, if you approved of him and you're like, what is he doing? Guys, this was laid out in Project 2025. You were just intaking the wrong information. And even without reading Project 2025, who has Trump been, guys, his entire life? He was born into extreme wealth due to not him, but his family. So he was born into with a golden spoon in his mouth. He went bankrupt even with that. And his whole mentality has been, legislation for the rich. He surrounds himself with the richest people, guys, in the country. Do you not remember him appointing Elon Musk to Doge because he gave him a huge campaign donation? His entire mindset is, how can I utilize my power to make myself richer? And he will occasionally, guys, throw out like red meat. Like, I know they're talking about these $2,000 tariff checks that he's been talking about. I'm going to break that down in a future video, but that would be, for instance, an example of red meat. Here is a one-time check so you can ignore, or at least forget for a moment, that your grocery prices are out of control. We're ignoring due process, right? I'm falling asleep during meetings because he's doing that. For some reason, the Republicans roasted Joe Biden for that, but when Trump does it, I guess it's fine. But all of these things, once again, coming together, a lot of this was predictable. Tariffs, guys, which he touted before the election. It can be a good tool if you're targeting certain industries, but haphazardly just throwing them out there across the globe makes no sense. It just makes things more expensive for us as Americans. His reverse Robin Hood tax bill, it increases and balloons the deficit while just taking resources from the poor, like healthcare and rural hospitals, to help provide tax cuts for the rich. All right, that's Trump 101. That's Republican policy 101 my entire lifetime. Even his immigration policy, which was hugely popular before he got elected, actually, now when people are seeing what this actually looks like, because it was never just about the violent criminals, because the biggest mass deportation campaign in history, guys, how many violent immigrants do you think are running around the street? Not enough, guys, to deport the numbers they were trying to do. It was always going to look like this. It was always going to look like targeting innocent people who are just trying to get by, like me and you. That's what it was always going to look like. It's unfortunate that too many people consumed the wrong information, and immediately when they saw it play out, they realized it was bad. But credit to credit is due. I'm going to end with this. He may be the most successful con man in United States history, with his shtick getting him elected all the way to the White House. But now he's sitting there with the biggest protest under his belt, anti-Trump protests. So some of the biggest protests in American history, and a historically low approval rating. So got him to the White House. Not really sure how it's benefiting the American people right now. Thank you for watching and being part of a growing progressive community. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you have the time, check out some of my other episodes you can see around me. Thank you.